Hello students, today we are going to see another topic which is called bills of exchange. What do you mean bill? Bill is an instrument, negotiable instrument. Why do we have to give the bill? See, there may be a sales on cash basis. If it is on cash basis, there no need for anything, just getting the goods and paying the cash. In case of a credit sales or credit purchase, there may be a promise to pay the money, but where is the proof? Who is going to pay, when is going to pay, all these details will be entered in one document. That document is called a bill. Bill of exchange means a seller will sell the goods on credit basis and he draws the bill. He makes the bill and asking the buyer to pay the money after certain date, probably after 3 months or 15 days or 1 month like that, and asking him to pay the money. And ordering, it's an unconditional order, not a conditional order. If you don't pay, you will be put into prison or not like that. It's an unconditional order asking to pay the money after certain date, mentioned date, probably 3 months like that. And the money should be paid to the concerned person or to the person whom he is directing, whom the seller is directing, or to the bearer of the bill. There are 3 conditions are there. The buyer may pay the money to the seller directly or to the person whom he mentions in the document, or to the bearer of the instrument. That instrument is a bill of exchange. Now, according to Indian Negotiable Instruments Act 1881, Section 5 says like that. According to the Section 5 of Negotiable Instrument Act of 1881, a bill is a written document. It's an unconditional order drawn by the seller and signed by the seller. Drawn and signed by the seller. And it must be accepted by the buyer. Only the bill get a value, that is the bill get a legal contact only when the buyer signs. The seller draws the bill and accepted by the buyer and signed by the buyer. There must be some credit sale or credit purchase and promise to pay the sum mentioned in future date to any person, the person directly to the seller or to the person whom he mentions, or he orders, the seller orders the buyer to pay, or to the bearer of the instrument, whoever bears the instrument, that is a bill of exchange, presents for the payment, he will be paid. Now let us see who are the parties in this. First, the parties involved in the bill of exchange. The drawer of the bill, that is the seller, or we can call it a maker of the bill. Seller only makes the bill. Then the drawee of the bill, that is the buyer, who buys the goods on credit basis and promise to pay the money in future date. Drawee of the bill, that is the buyer accepts the bill and he signs. After accepting, he will sign. The drawer of the bill, buyer accepts, he accepts of the acceptor of the bill. The payee may be the seller, that means receiver of the money, may be the seller or the person whom the seller orders, or the bearer of the instrument, whoever bears the instrument, that the bill of exchange will be paid. Payee, the receiver of the money, usually the drawer, that means the seller, drawer, or someone on whom he orders to pay, or sometimes a person who bears the bill, who is bearing the bill and presents for the payment will be paid. Now let us see the specimen of bill of exchange. Now let us assume that one transaction, suppose the drawer of the bill, suppose Harish sells goods on credit basis to Mr. Ravi. Okay, now Harish, who sells the goods, makes the bill, saying the Mr. Ravi to pay the bill to someone else, maybe X or Y. Now let us see. Now Harish, the drawer of the bill or seller of the goods, makes out the bill, and the drawee, the buyer accepts the bill. The buyer, Mr. Ravi, accepts the bill, and the payee. Here, the Harish is asking Mr. Ravi to pay to a person who is called as Arun. Now let us assume is Arun. Okay. Now the parties involved: Harish, the drawer of the bill, seller, the credit sale, who is doing the credit sales, Ravi, the buyer of the goods, who accepts the bill, and the payment should be made to the another third person who is called the Arun. Now let us see the bill of exchange. This is the format of bill of exchange, specimen form. He buys goods, Ravi buys goods for rupees 20,000. That is bill of exchange. This rupees 20,000 worth of goods, value of the goods he purchased. Now this is stamp. Why there is a stamp? When there is a law is in enforce means there must be stamp. Legal action will be taken if in case of failure. So stamp is there. Chennai. That is April 2020. April 1st, 2020. Okay, April 1st, 1st April 2020. 3 months after the date, pay to Arun or order the sum of rupees 20,000 only for the value received. April 1st he makes the bill. Pay after 3 months means full April, May, June. After June he has to pay the money. There will be some grace time, not directly after the 1st of June. April, May, June, 3 months means April, full May, full June. July 1st is supposed to pay. It's not exactly July 1st, 3 days grace time will be given, and 3rd July or 4th July they have to pay the money. Now let us see. Bill of exchange, rupees 20,000, the value of the goods. Here stamp is there. Chennai, 1st April 2020, 3 months after the date, pay to Arun or order the sum of rupees 20,000 only. The word only must be there for the value received, and it will be signed by Harish, who is the maker of the bill, a drawer of the bill who sells the goods on credit basis, and it should be accepted by Ravi, a person who purchased the goods on credit basis. It should be accepted by Ravi, and he should put the signature saying accepted. On the face of the bill, he will write accepted. And the address of the Ravi will be given to Ravi, 20/18 NSU Home, Chennai 61. This is the bill is drawn like this. After 3 months, the bill will be retained by Harish by himself, and he, Mr. Ravi will come and pay the money. Or there is another thing, he will ask, Mr. Harish will ask order to pay the money to Arun. Arun will be receiving the money. Arun will be receiving the money after 3 months, after the due date. That is a grace time of 3 days are there. So April 4th, July 4th, it will be received by Mr. Arun. Now we have seen the what is the bill and what are the important features of the bill, and we have seen the parties involved in the bill, and we have seen the specimen of bill. Next we are going to see the what do you mean by promissory note. What do you mean by promissory note? Here bill of exchange, the drawer of the bill, that the seller will make out the bill. In promissory note, the buyer will make the note saying that I promise you to. Here the seller is asking order to pay. The word order is here. See, order. I order you to pay, or pay to Arun, or order. Order is given by the seller. Whereas in promissory note, the buyer will make out the bill. He will give the promise saying, I promise to pay certain sum of money after the due date, like that. Okay, in the next class we'll see what is a promissory note and what is the specimen form of a promissory note and the parties involved in the promissory note. Afterwards, we'll go for journal entries.